Yabuatima, not her real name, got married in 2017 at the age of 25. She narrates to City News that since 2020, she has constantly been physically abused in her relationship and has had several threats of death on her life from her husband.
My friend, Obana fire, and I started to say a dear buffon, and Timohono, a broke or sopan, or bomb pan, a brother or boomy be pan. And see, Emma, or catch him as or boomy. Nase, me bomb a bush your foreman, ya. Obey me near Melgo, obey Jamin Tinama. I am just a brono cososan. Now, farmer a buffua befi, tea. Ebu ha obana wo hwe TV kura ana kura na ye bibi otia no kura eye bro ti afi na bro no koso nsha na me bo me ofa mama ne yese sei ene eko enti mesre o mom frɛ be ma no munye de mom kasa nkyere no efiri hono na wose ma bo me busuafo amane ye se wa bo me enti da bia no na ye ntokwa ne bro ene ekoso wofi wo sheda no simi nyingu to ka cha mi se ye kodai keteso ansa na wo babo me amanyi o de crutches ne babo me no o ka cha mi se mi nyinyi nse nyingu nti de na mada ewo ha no nya ne mi se nyinse no da be na me se na mi se oba wa ye me ho ade a o de ma betena fi de nya ade se nyinse no me sai ne asai ne china inti brona no wo be me no o sheda no de crutches no ebo me yemma nyinsan ne sei ena nyinsan no kra na nya baako ansa no wa sei no eno so wo bo me sa na nyinsan no wase me nsan nti no man sei no ena wo bo me.
Unfortunately, after issuing out threats to their partners, some spouses go the extra mile of following through on their threats and allegedly kill their partners. On Sunday, August 1, 2021, 48-year-old Bashir Gambo allegedly killed his partner, Amavida, in the middle of the night before their 4 children. Daniel Larry, a brother of Amavida, explains how several attempts by family members to resolve disagreements between his sister and her partner were unsuccessful.
Last week Tuesday, na me nua ba frɛ me. Se woni ne kunu. Nya ade da fomenta kwa gidigidi. Nti me wo han. Na so wo de nya abotre, wo ba bi ye adwuma. Nya me duma Sunday, mbe jadem ye bia aba, ama ya tenase. Na me nua ba so watente wo hwemanim. Na me ba na mama ntakwa. Me ba se mbesiesie si oba ne kunu. Mbesiesie montemu. Nti ndiame di ba no abusuanfo ne soma me se wo besia oba ye okurom ha na wo fa no abusuani bi animu obi animu okura anya na ama bisa me behu mchire kwan me nimu da me nimu me hu da nti ni omusie ne se empim August ayi we me kopim se ye bedi bronya no so pa oyire serious pa fa oyire na Africa ko okurom na bra shisha bi wo ho bia woni abusuan beka se duro no kura na osura mi makunta freme mbedi wanim ama yakoye de beye na makunta so odamanu ase na nyame nhira na se mate na okan yakunta asama bi kenyina nyina wom odifo mi fa mbone nche no we koya sada na juro de etiase mi no baawu ti wo wuye no so ni woja ya ni njanka omuti hoyi.
Bashir Gambo died a day after the incident, after some residents in the area apprehended him and physically assaulted him. He died while receiving treatment at a hospital after the police rescued him from the mob. In the Ashanti region, a number of killings and assaults in relationships have been recorded in recent years. In January 2020, Comfort Owusu-Afriyie was allegedly killed by her boyfriend after they checked in at a Cedar Crescent Hotel in Kumasi. The matter is still in court as the family of the deceased is calling for speedy investigations into the matter. In August this year, 24-year-old Atadema allegedly killed his 28-year-old girlfriend, Nancy J, at Obuasi. The Ashanti Regional Coordinator of the Domestic Violence and Victim Support Unit, DOVSU, of the Ghana Police Service, Superintendent Susanna Derry, says more cases related to threat of death among persons in relationships have been recorded in recent times, and the trend has been a major source of concern. She is thus calling on all persons in relationships to quickly identify red flags such as threats from partners and report these to the police to avoid being victims.
Well, sometimes some of these killings, it doesn't, the offender doesn't start it at once. It starts from somewhere. It's like gradually, then it accumulates. Then one day, the person just acts by doing whatever happens, by killing the spouse. Usually, one of the reasons is jealousy. Most of them, where the women are found to be the victims, the men assume or think that the woman is in a kind of let me call it cheating on him. And in some of these cases, they don't actually get a real proof. And then it moves on and on, argument, fights, and all that. Then finally, they execute some of these plans.
A criminologist who is also a lecturer at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, KNUST, Dr. Jones Opokuwari, has a similar view.
If you look at most of the patterns that we are recording now, you will see that if you go in, you realize that either the man accuses the woman of sexual, of infidelity, or the wife also accusing the man of having, having this kind of sexual infidelity. And it creates this atmosphere of sexual jealousy. So most of the time, because of the jealousy that comes out of this kind of suspicion, and the anger it generates, it creates that kind of, situation for people to exert that kind of violence and abuse. But you see, one thing about spousal killing is that it is not an event. It's a process. And now it's a process because it starts from a point, then ends at a point. That is, there's always signals that we have to look out for. Okay, most of the time you see that it starts with abuse, and mostly it is the women that gets abused. So it starts with abuse, and then over time it graduates into somebody being harmed or somebody being murdered. And most of the time it is the women that are the receiving end because of the issue of power and control.
Superintendent Susanna Derry says a major issue militating against the operations of DOVSU is a practice where respected persons within the society intervene and convince persons who have survived such attacks to opt for out-of-court settlement.
When it gets to prosecution, then our society, sometimes I say we even sympathize with offenders more than the victims or the offended. So they rush to probably the one who came to report the case. Please don't prosecute the man or withdraw the case for amicable settlement at home. And the pressure will be such that pressure from probably imams, from pastors, men of God, from people of high class standing in society, all approach for settlement. And then somebody comes that, you see, because of the relationship, just let bygones be bygones, let's get back home. She agrees and they go. They go and it even repeats itself. It keeps on repeating until one day we hear some of these cases that happen. But what should we do? We will say no. We get to the court, they frustrate you there.
Young Boatma is advising young ladies to ensure they acquire skills before getting into marriage in order for them to be financially independent after tying the knots.
na medi nka akosua adwuma baako ewo bantama apon me ho na wo se medi ye adwuma mentimi amfa me ma aware no ye dey edi menim mentimi amfa adwuma no anya adwuma mentimi anhwe so emie madwuma intimi sire me yonko ma so mo kwa aware a omonto mo bo asepa me de me hu se ese dusty for wo de wasam call no ma misra wo mu omonhwe asam ne nfisa ma asam no me de ko ho achepa wanye mu na ekoi afei na asam no eko baby a wase eko fisa meti esesi akra ni ko school akra na me na wono kra no onfi akra no mo yakoma onye yehwe.
Dr. Jones Upukuware has been highlighting some measures that can be put in place to help address the issue.
These are the things, the two things that we have to look at. We have to make sure that we encourage people, especially in marital situations, the women in particular, to speak up, to discuss issues with people when they are having these challenges in marriages. We should allow them to talk to people about it. Even if they have to even seek counseling services, we have to talk about it. And also, our society should please stop judging women and forcing women into relationships and marriages that are not working.
Stakeholders are calling for a concerted effort in addressing spousal killings within the Ashanti region and the country in general. From the Ashanti Regional Police Headquarters, I'm Edward Upon Malfo for City News.